Okay.
Cool.
So the first thing I'm just gonna say is like just start by saying like your name and then anything you really want to know, like anything you want them to know about you as a musician or just in general.
Okay. So my name's John Dirroll, Dirroll. I go by the name Knowledge Born 07.
Okay.
Um, I've been interested in music pretty much my whole life, and it started at a very young age. When I was, I would say, grade school. One of my closest grade school friends, um, his dad had got him a 4 track, and he was taking guitar lessons, and then his dad kind of built him a studio
Wow.
with like soundproof studio in his basement. So I would go over there, and I would I would be the vocalist, and he would play guitar, and we would record like on 4 track tapes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and he was into punk, and I was into rap and hip hop, and I mean, I was in like one thing that brought us close together was probably like the music by the Doors
Okay.
and a lot of punk rock music, Beastie Boys, and then definitely Rage Against the Machine, like in 8th grade.
Okay. So would you
It's like
say like
seventh and eighth grade.
your style of rap and his like punk style kind of like intertwined?
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's sweet.
Definitely intertwined. We were definitely into music that at that time that and still today, but that kind of spoke out against maybe like social norms and stuff. We always, um, liked music that had a message in it
Yeah, for sure.
and spoke out
Would,
against just like the BS of the
yeah,
system. You
for
know?
sure. Would you say you listen to the lyrics rather than like the instruments and the beats more? Like would
Yeah,
you focus
me
on that?
definitely. I'm definitely more into lyricism. I
Yeah.
want to hear somebody tell me something. Like that's huge for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, yeah.
Okay, so what age was that again that you said you really first like fell in love with it and you're going to the studio and all that?
Yeah, when I was going to probably like I want to say it started in like 6th and 7th grade.
Sixth and seventh grade, okay. And then
Yeah.
you've been making music ever since? Or
Yeah, I mean, it started by going over there and just like he was taking guitar lessons, he was learning the 4 track, um, and I would just be like the vocalist.
yeah, okay.
So we had like a little hip hop or
Yeah.
band or whatever back in the day.
Were you writing lyrics already too?
Yeah, yeah, we were right. I was writing lyrics, and
Yes.
we were making tapes. We were making tapes, and then when he started going to Riley like freshman year, and that's when we really started making some tapes. Like really started trying to put them on
Oh, okay.
tape and like make like a complete tape, cassette tape.
Yeah. So in high school you
And
would say you like you took it more seriously rather than like stepping back from it?
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I was in sports, but music was always like in the forefront. Like any little moment that I had.
Yeah.
Um, and I was kind of pushed more towards obviously doing sports
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
than
same
I
way
want.
for me actually too. Like I was always in sports, but like when I had the time, I made sure that I wanted to do the music because that's really what I love to do too. So I can actually relate to you on that for sure.
Yeah, it was almost like I wasn't allowed to
Yes, me
do the
too.
music, and it was frustrating as a kid.
Like
It
everything
made
was
me
going
want it
against
more.
me. Um,
What was that?
I said like it felt like everything was going against the music almost, like the
Yeah,
music and all that.
yeah. I think people sometimes. I mean, obviously, as parents, you want your kids to be successful in whatever they're doing, but
Yeah,
a lot of times the parent has an idea of what they want their kid to do or be, and that was kind of like how it was with me.
Yeah. No, I feel you 100% on that.
I was a wild kid though. I was all over the place. ADD, you know.
Okay. Would you say what is ADD exactly?
So attention deficit
Okay.
disorder.
So would you say that
So
would
I
that
didn't have the hyper. I just had the attention deficit. So I was put on um, Ritalin at a young age
Okay.
for it.
Would you say that affected the way you made music at all?
Um, yeah. I mean, I think it affected the way that I just. Ritalin definitely affected me at a young age. I remember taking it and definitely just feeling kind of like I don't know. When I was a kid, man, like I remember like it'd be lunchtime and I wouldn't be hungry, and that was a really weird feeling.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it really kind of messed with me internally.
Okay.
Um,
I feel you.
so I eventually just stopped taking that stuff because I was like, yeah, this is not for me.
Yeah. You think it affected the way like you wrote lyrics at all, or like how you wrote them?
Um,
Just like having ADD in general, or the medicine you took too.
yeah, I think it. You know, I can't really. I don't know. I always wrote like poetry and stuff when it was. I mean, I grew up on hip hop. I grew up loving like Run DMC and all like all '80s hip hop and '90s throughout. You know,
Yeah.
but like when I started writing, I didn't first start writing raps. I just kind of wrote poetry.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I think that it definitely probably affected me in some way, shape, or form. I don't really remember though, because it was at that age. I don't know. I don't remember like putting that together. Like I'm taking this
Yeah.
medicine and it's making me change how I do remember the food thing though, and that being like a weird thing. Like
Yeah.
that was one thing that stuck out for sure. And then I always wondered, does this stuff even work?
Yeah. Yeah.
At a young age, I was like, why am I taking this?
Yeah. I know for example, I've talked to you about Juice World before. Like, he was like at a young age he talked about being like he had to take pills like that too, for I think it might have been ADD, but he said like that was something that kind of like led him to like popping pills a lot to like cope with whatever he was going through. But that's good to hear how I think that's a good thing to hear how it was like the opposite for you, like it wanted like you stopped doing it after that.
Yeah, I actually did eat a bunch of them. Nothing really happened to me, but I
Yeah.
did eat a bunch at one time through from just some depression
Mm-hmm.
as a young kid. Just probably just confused with life and being in that that age where you're changing and everything's just kind of the world is weird.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Just kind of
not
understand
not
everything.
understanding the politics of the world and all the bull.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like I said, I was influenced by hip hop and punk rock, so I was
Yeah.
pretty anti
Yeah,
authority
for sure.
kind of, like didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
yeah.
Okay. So, what other jobs have you worked? Like, I know you're a musician, but you weren't always like a full-time 100% musician, right?
No. I mean, I've washed dishes. I've worked in a factory my whole life. I worked. My family owns a corrugated box company, so I was kind of groomed for the company.
Yeah.
I grew up working in the factory on the machines,
Okay.
and then I drove a truck for a while.
For
I
the
was in
company, too?
design. I was in design for a while. I was in sales. I was in customer service in the office. I was kind of being groomed just to for the whole layout of the company,
Okay. Yeah. For
with
sure.
my siblings.
Okay.
And I was the sibling that kind of stepped out.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're a full-time musician now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So would you say like working that, being like groomed into that, would you say that pushed you harder to like step away and like do what you love? Like were you always thinking about like music in the back of your mind almost, or was it just like did you stray away from music at
Always,
one
yeah.
point? Okay.
Yeah, I've always been thinking about music for sure. I can't sleep without having music on.
Okay.
Uh, I can't, everything I do, I pretty much have to have some form of music on. It just sound, I can, reading books for me, I fall asleep. I have many books and I've read a bunch of books, but I love audiobooks because I just love sound.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Like all sounds. Like I love taking just like my phone or like a field recorder and just recording just like nature sounds or like a
Yeah.
hammer hitting something
Yeah.
or whatever, and then trying to use that in music.
Yeah, you can use anything like that's a
Oh,
that's the
that's the
beautiful thing.
beauty.
Yeah. Like there's no boundaries with it. Like like you're creating something new, so there's no limits to it. That's what's so beautiful about it to me too.
Yeah, yeah. That is a beauty. The canvas is huge, and there is no real. I mean, it's art, so it's you know if someone doesn't like it, someone else might love it.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
So there's no way that someone can say like this is how you're supposed to
Yeah.
do
There's
this.
no way you're
You know,
supposed to do it. Yeah.
that's what I love.
I do. I love that too about it. It's limitless. Okay, and
Yeah.
then so the factory that you worked in, your studio is actually like isn't it a part of that? Or like isn't it a separate room there? Like cuz I know I went to your studio and you showed me out the
Yeah,
window
it's
and you
on the
could
other.
literally
It's on
see
the
the
other end of the
factory.
building. So that other building's been used for many different things. But yeah, that was just like an empty room that was up there. So that's what I've been using it for.
Okay. So, and how did that come about? Like, because I'm sure you didn't have all that equipment up there at first. Like, was it a process? Or, like, did it start small, get bigger?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I was, let's see, it happened probably around 2000, probably 2003, right around the time, maybe a
2003,
little
okay.
bit, maybe 2001, maybe around the time that, right before Peyton was born. Um,
Okay.
I was living in an apartment and I didn't have enough room for equipment that I started accumulating,
Yeah.
and so my family said that I could just store it up in the building, and then I saw the opportunity.
Yeah. I'm
To be
sure.
honest,
Yeah.
I said, "Wow, there's a room. Wow, I can put drums in here
Yeah.
and actually have
This could actually be something.
yeah, because yeah, there's I mean." To be able to be in a place where you can be as loud as you want. There's definitely limitations where I'm at, because it's not a separate building aside from the business. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not a complete separate building. There's an entrance and an exit.
Yeah.
But you still have sounds from the factory, so you have to deal with that stuff. And I know, as like an engineer, well, at least like I don't know how much you record live, but when you're recording live and you're picking up things on the mic, if there's something from whatever it is,
Any little sound, yeah.
any little sound, especially like a low end sound, like a forklift rolling through
Yeah,
or
for
something
real.
like that's sometimes it's a pain to get rid of. So
Yeah.
I definitely deal with that sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
I get that.
yeah, you can play as loud as you want, which is the beauty, right?
Oh yeah. You can really let
Because
your
that's hard in
emotions.
an apartment. I recorded forever when I had my apartment. Like I had a 8-track digital, um, and then also like at my house, I always had like stuff, but I always felt like I couldn't be as loud sometimes as I wanted to be because of, the obvious like neighbors or,
Yeah,
basically neighbors or somebody trying to sleep. So
for sure.
the beauty of that is like it's a loud environment and you can be as loud as you want.
Yeah. You can really just let your emotions out.
Yeah. And now, with, some of the things that, you know, just like mixing or whatever, you can do that in your headphones. And, I mean, people say, never mix in your headphones, but
Yeah.
like my instructor, mixes in the box, and I don't know if you know who Andrew Sheps is, but he predominantly mixes mostly in the box, and he'll mix in headphones sometimes. He did like Chili Peppers and a bunch of different
Oh,
artists,
really?
and now it's becoming more and more common that you can because of technology, and so that brings you as a mixer or an engineer to be able to really mix anywhere,
Yeah.
which is that's a beautiful thing.
That is, because I've always been told, yeah, you should mix on your speakers so you can really like know how it's gonna sound.
Yeah, you're supposed to really find some speakers that don't add a lot of color, kind of flat speakers,
Yeah.
and and learn to mix in those, and so you know what they sound like, what they should sound like. Um,
So you mix
but
in
I
your
think that if
headphones?
you train your ears
Yeah.
because you're always when you mix, you're always supposed to go and listen in different environments or different on different things, like in your phone, in your
Uh
car.
huh. Yeah.
A lot of people listen to music on their phone, so in your AirPods or whatever, a lot of people have AirPods, right?
Yeah.
So a good place to like learn what it should sound like or what it sounds good to you in, like, would be, that would be a step in the process. So
Yeah. Because
that's a good.
it probably sounds
Yeah.
different in each place too. So like depending on like
Yeah, sometimes on your big subs and compared to like your little ear
yeah.
pods, you're gonna have to do some adjustments.
Yeah, for sure.
You might have the bass just right in those ear pods and be like, man, this sounds great. And then you put it on the subs and you're like, whoa, that bass is way too heavy.
Yeah.
Like that needs to come way down because
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, chomping my mix.
Yeah.
So that's just part of the struggle.
For sure.
It's a fun struggle though.
Yeah. So you mix in your headphones now?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, not only, but yes,
for
that's
the most part?
if I'm mixing at home, I'm mixing in my headphones
Yeah.
mostly. I do have speakers here, but I'm not turning them up loud. People have to sleep, and
Yeah.
and I love to mix at night. That's just how
Yeah.
I love. That's my thing.
It's a whole.
So
Yeah. It is a vibe.
yeah,
Okay. Um. So what would you say is like a usual day? Like if you go into the studio, like
like
what's
with
like
a client.
um. I mean, I was thinking more of yourself, but yeah, that too. Like both.
Yeah, I mean, usually when a client comes up, I let them. I predominantly will just do the engineering and say, this is all of the stuff that I have.
Yeah. And kind of just listen
They'll
to.
pay me hourly, and then I'll just get a feel for what they're going for. They'll be able to use anything that I have, and I set them up on everything, mic up everything, and then record it into Pro Tools. I usually give the client like two different options. We can just record it at my place, and they can use my equipment that they might not have because maybe they live in an apartment and
Yeah.
don't have much equipment. All they have is like an M box or something, some kind of interface, and they want to record on some other stuff. So I'll give them two options. I'll say, for this price, you can come and record here, and then I'll just give you the stems, and then you can mix it on your own and put it out. Or for another price, I will record it, and then I'll also mix it, and
Okay.
then also give them the stems. Or if they want to record it and have me mix it, sometimes they'll record, send it to me, I'll mix it, and then that'll be just like a separate price.
Okay.
So those are just kind of three different ways that it happens, and Um, Usually, I mean, I let the client just kind of go at their own pace.
Yeah.
However long they want to record, like we can bust something out, a song. We can finish the song in a few hours if that's what they want. Or sometimes they'll come up and say, "I got this song, and we'll work on it for a few hours." And then they'll come back in a few days, and then we'll work on it again for a few hours. And sometimes that song will never get done until they're absolutely ready, you know.
Yeah. Until they
And
think.
then, go ahead.
Until they think it really sounds like what they want.
Until they think it sounds yeah. Until they are happy with what they.
Yeah, for sure.
Until their vision is there. I mainly engineer it, and then if they want my influences or ask for my help, then that's when I'll step in and say, "Oh, we could try this," or "Let's try that." But really, I kind of let them be the creator.
Yeah, it's you kind of listen and kind of try to do kind of
Right.
create what they want, like what their vision is.
Right. My main thing is just making them feel comfortable in the studio, because as a young kid going to different studios, I know how uncomfortable I was.
Yeah.
And I'm a creative, so
You understand it.
I understand it. Yeah, I understand. Like, I try to make them feel as comfortable as possible, because I've felt completely out of my element and not gotten the product that I've wanted.
It's hard.
After
Yeah.
paying,
It's hard to
because of my nervousness or not feeling comfortable.
Yeah, for
you know.
sure. For sure.
So yeah, that's like, I think that's one of the biggest things. Like they said, I just heard an interview the other day that they said that Rick Rubin on this it was, I don't know if it wasn't like an interview. It was they were basically just talking about Rick Rubin, saying that he didn't even know how to use a mixing board.
Really?
Basically, he's just that badass of a producer that he just knows sound.
That's crazy.
And knows how to blend. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I I want to know as much as I can.
Yeah.
But man, if I would love to be even a piece of what Rick Rubin is, because he's influenced pretty much so much of my musical taste throughout the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy.
From the Beastie Boys to Run DMC to Red Hot Chili Peppers, so much. Johnny Cash.
I know you said you like Bob Marley a lot.
Love Bob. I love reggae.
Yeah. You said you were telling me how that's a big influence on what you make, and I know he has really good lyrics too, because you're playing some of his stuff. Just what he was saying.
Yeah. Bob Marley. I played Damien. I played a really good song by Damien, which is his son. Not all of his sons, but a few of his sons all make music. But yeah, Bob. His music's very spiritual. Rastafari is just the cornerstone of his lyricism, and a lot of the Rastafarian lyrics is Bible driven, or teachings is Bible driven. And me growing up as a Catholic, I kind of fell out of my religion probably like when I was around 18.
Okay.
And reggae music really kind of brought me back to my
that's awesome.
My spirituality and my Catholicism, because I'm still Catholic and I love my Catholicism. I mean, it's huge for me. I went to church today. I don't go all the time, but it's definitely where I feel home and at peace and one with God.
Sure.
Although I talk to God everywhere I go, but reggae music, especially roots reggae or conscious lyrical reggae, is the reggae that really drives me. It's the heartbeat in the drum, and just so much about reggae that just really draws me in. The lyricism, the equal rights and justice,
And that's just another situation of how powerful, like, music really can be. Like, how
Yes,
it can touch somebody.
absolutely. I grew up during a time where the hip hop that I grew up in the early '80s changed into more of like a gangster vibe as I grew up, and I kind of fell into that.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
that environment, that mentality, just like all of that, and
Yeah.
I think that what you say really does have an impact on the listener, at
Yeah.
least in my personal perspective.
No, I
Some
agree
people
with
can,
that.
yeah,
Even if it's subconsciously and you don't even realize it.
yeah. I know that some of my favorite hip hop is some of the like the darkest and craziest, that like the lyricism is so on point, and hip hop, especially like battling in hip hop, it's always like who's better and who can tear the next person down more, and like so that is like definitely part of the I don't know, the influence, I guess, but
Yeah. No, for sure.
um, finding myself like listening to some of those MCs that were so dope, but so dark. I respected the lyricism, but it always put me in a place that I did not like the place that I was in emotionally, like what I felt like when I heard the stuff.
Yeah.
Although it was like maybe the sickest lyricism that I had ever heard, and the
Yeah.
metaphors were crazy, and I was like, wow, this person is a true genius. Like the like I can get past like that the nastiness if the lyricism's there and it's like it's
Yeah.
poetic,
Yeah.
um, but I still don't necessarily like how it makes me feel, so I tend to be drawn more towards the conscious, and that's just probably with me just trying to be closer to God,
Yeah.
uh, in God's presence and walk with the Holy Spirit, man.
Yep. No, I
For
agree
me.
because, like I said, I was influenced by Juice World a lot, but I found myself always in like a dark place when I was listening to him. But I respected everything he was saying, and I just found it like almost mind blowing, like his like the poetic aspect of his lyrics. But like,
Yeah,
would you say like you've grown out? Like, do you ever find yourself in that place ever? Like listening to
always,
that music? Yeah.
always. I
Yeah.
love music so much that like I don't shun any of it, because I
Yeah.
know that it's people's perspectives,
Mhm.
and I know that it's people's moments in time, and I know that like songs come to us. I mean, some people can force songs out and just spit them out and they sound ridiculous, like just so good or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I just think about like my daughter asked me if I heard the new Bruno Mars. And when I think about Bruno Mars, I don't necessarily listen to his music, but I know that everything that I hear ever of Bruno Mars is so crispy and clean and
Yeah.
good, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if
It's
that dude
true.
ever does anything like
It's true.
obscure or something that like is kind of questionable. So there's
Yeah.
definitely those people out there, but I think that I I still listen to some of the saddest music in the world
Yeah.
during those times, because sometimes when I'm really sad or I go through my emotions, sometimes that sad music that plays is like a hug.
Yeah.
It's like, man,
Seriously.
someone
It
else is going through it
it
and they
helps you
feel
through
it,
it.
and I know that they are feeling it because of the way that they're projecting it through this art form, and I'm feeling it,
Yeah.
and I didn't think that anybody felt like me right now, and I'm actually, this is like in a weird way,
It's
you know
yeah. It helps you through what you're going through.
yeah, helps you through it. Sometimes it's too much and I can't, and then I'll turn to my reggae, or just ambient music, or just something, even sometimes in my darkest times I'll put on Gregorian chants, like almost like
Okay.
it will church music, really,
Yeah.
because it's like I really need to talk to God, like I
Yeah.
really need to like get whatever that is that's going on cleansed.
Yeah. You think
And
like
reggae and Gregorian chants sometimes do it the best for me.
okay. Yeah. So
I think it's vibration, that's what it is. All sound and everything is vibration. And sometimes those vibrations, the resonance.
for sure. And there's actually a
Uh,
science behind that too.
yeah,
I don't know the exact
for sure. Like the
why.
low ends,
Yeah.
probably deal more with um, some of the darker, feelings,
Yeah. For
and some of
sure.
the angelic highs and all of that. It's like it kind of like uplifts you, and that's why when you hear I mean, I'm completely speaking out of my ass right now, but this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when you hear like spa music or whatever it is, something that just doesn't really have lyrics, but it's got a lot of like washy sounds and like
Yeah.
highs and kind of uplifting, like lighter feeling.
For sure.
Whereas when you're, in that drum and bass where it's just like deep and heavy, like kind of pulling you down, it's a weird thing. Like 808s can give you that, dark feeling.
Oh yeah.
I love 808s though, so don't get it wrong. Sometimes the 808 is like the best sounding thing. I love it,
Seriously.
Yeah.
But it really does. It sets music sets a whole mood.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard Migos, and my daughter was listening to Migos, like they were with their friends, and I told them like I don't know. I think that my daughter knew, but I think her friends just thought like I was green and I didn't know any of anything really.
Like the newer music, do you mean?
Yeah, just like didn't like pick up on the slang that was being said and all of that. And I mean, I grew up in all of it, so of course I might not know everything, as an older parent, but
you get what you get the
message. I think I pick it up more than a lot that didn't grow up in it, and I would just always say, I know what they're saying, like, and I know what this is, like. And they'd be like, "Oh, we don't listen to the lyrics. We just like the beat."
Yeah, I know.
But like you said, sometimes that lyric really is like it like puts you in a trance,
Yeah.
And it might be subliminal. Like if it's being said in cadence over and over again, that's a subliminal thing. If it's telling you to do something bad or whatever it may be, that could be. Does that mean I should I'm the guy that's saying that should not be allowed? Not at all. I think that, we need yin and yang,
For sure. Because there is good and, you can't prevent, there's good and bad, you can't deny it.
Yeah, and we don't know what good is without bad, and vice versa.
You just gotta find balance.
Exactly. Balance is key.
So would you say that your daughter, has she, influenced any of the music you listen to? Would she... if she plays you something, will you ever be like, "Oh wow, I actually really like this"? And even
I wouldn't have known who Juice WRLD is if it wasn't for my daughter. I wouldn't know who XXX is. I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have seen Migos, but it wasn't on my radar. So I was more stuck in where I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I found my music. So. I think, honestly, for me, I would have just overlooked it and looked at it as, not as good or as lyrical. Probably as lyrical than what I prefer. But I actually really respect a lot of it. Who's that? Rex Orange County, his stuff, too. Yeah. I can hear the influences, and I love to hear what these kids and you as well, you with your group as well, you can tell you've been influenced by a whole different genres, but so much, and you're really blending it well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so a lot, it's
no, it is crazy how everyone has an influence. And it's just, really, even if it's naturally, it all blends together somehow. It's, almost unexplainable.
But, it's very weird. It's, my sister-in-law asked me if I heard the new Halsey recently, right?
Okay, yeah.
You know who she is, Halsey?
I've heard some of her music, yeah.
Yeah, so she's like, "Have you heard the new Halsey record?" And I'm like, "No." She played it, and I'm like, "Man, this is crazy. This sounds like country to me. Like it sounded like country music." And I
Country.
know Halsey is a pop artist, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So it sounded very country to me, to my ear. I was like, "Wow." I was like, "That's crazy." Like I didn't think that she would sound like that. And then she played me a country artist, and she wasn't trying to say, "Doesn't this sound like country?" She just liked the album, right?
Yeah.
Then she played maybe like Casey Musgraves or something, or some new record, some new country record. And
Country record.
I don't really listen to pop country all that much. It's
Yeah.
not my taste either, but it's not like I dislike it, or
Like, yeah.
just not. It's not what I reach
still
for.
music. It's still coming from somewhere.
It's still music. Yeah, I like all music. So, she played it for me, and it didn't like this was. So she played. It might be Casey Musgraves. That name is just like stuck in my head right now. But
Yeah.
I think that's who it was, but I'm not sure. It was their new album, and when she played it, this was a country artist that when I would listen to it, the first thing I said was, "This doesn't sound like country at all to me. This sounds like pop music. Like
Really?
it's just like." And so I hear a lot of these country artists nowadays that are putting out albums, and it reminds me of, it's like, wow, this is very pop. It's like less country. It's
No,
not
yeah.
like, it's not very country to me. When I listen to like the Yvette Brothers or something, like that's more country to me.
Yeah.
Bluegrassy country, or like, like a mixed blend. But I think that like what you're saying, it's spot on, is just that we're also influenced by so many things. And now with the speed of technology, and having like when I was a kid, I would go to the record store, and this is before you could hear what was on the record. So if I didn't know, if I didn't know what album I wanted, but I wanted to buy a tape or a CD, back then, I would sometimes cover shop, and like if I liked the cover, I would get it and I'd put it on, and sometimes it would suck.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would be awesome, and I found a new band. And fast forward, then you had the days where you could go to like Barnes and Noble, and they would have most of the CDs in there. You could scan the CD, and then it would play it, right? You could scan the barcode,
Yeah.
and then you could listen that way. That was new technology for us. We were like, wow. So now we could actually hear a little piece of what we were going to spend our $15 on.
Yeah, I bet that was like life-changing for you almost.
It was life-changing for all of us. And then Pandora came out, where it was like, there was this internet radio station. I remember being at Barnes & Noble, and Barnes & Noble always had people that worked there that, Orbit Music, of course, and like all your local places would, but like a Barnes & Noble that was more of a corporate setting, would have, here in South Bend at least, have, like, they really picked people in their music department that knew music, and it was awesome. I'd go and talk their ear off. Yeah, I loved it. I'd always share music with them, and they'd share music with me, and I'd come out with something, new.
Yeah.
But I remember one girl that was working there was like, "Have you seen Pandora?" And I'm like, "No, what's that?" And she's like, "You put the name of an artist in there, and then it makes a playlist of artists that are similar." And that blew me away.
That's crazy.
And now we have like Spotify and everything else, that is just at your fingertips, and music's free, and it's good and it's bad. There's so much out there, so it's amazing that we get to hear everything, but it's also hard to zone in sometimes on exactly. It's getting better, though, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. So I can't say that it's all that bad, because I absolutely love being able to hear music right now, being a music lover. I don't like how they pay out, but, I think that artists need to get more money off of their releases.
For sure, and that's something interesting I actually discovered recently. Have you heard of NFTs?
Yes, yeah. I don't know much about them, but I've heard a lot of talk about them, and I've listened to some people that are trying to do that pretty heavily.
Yeah, but it's a way, or at least what I know about it. So it's like a digital art form. So you can post it on the marketplace. It could be like a digital picture. It can be a MP3 WAV file, so you can put your music on there too. but
Yeah.
you post it on there, and then if somebody buys it, you can set it so you get like, say you want 80%, you can set the percent of royalties you get. So you can set 80% royalties you get. So every time like somebody will buy that from you for what price you listed at, and then so like, and then
They can share the royalties of the sale.
yes, so they profit off of it too. Like
Right.
your fans can profit off of it too, and then if
That's
they
a beautiful way to get fans to actually have a bigger incentive in other
yeah,
people's music.
it is. It's crazy, and I really think it is revolutionary.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Um, I remember seeing, I guess, probably the first form of like an NFT before it was even called an NFT or anything was I was using the Oculus. Do you know the Oculus? The
I've heard
virtual
of that.
reality headset?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So this blew my mind. I was in this like virtual world, and it was there were people, you know, that had Oculuses on in their own houses or whatever all
That's
over the world.
crazy.
And I was in this room that someone created, and this room was like a museum. It was set up like a museum. They drew it all like a museum,
Wow.
and I'm like walking around in this room, just like looking at pieces of what would be like sculptures in real life. It would be like a sculpture. It would look like a sculpture that someone sculpted on top of a pedestal all over this. And I walk into this room and I walk up to this digital sculpture, and this guy walks up next to me, or this avatar walks up next to me and says, do you like that? And I said, yeah, it's actually really cool. I said, where is this from? And the guy said, I drew it. And I said, oh, where are you from? He said, I'm from Belgium. And I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, this is pretty sweet. And he's like, yeah, I built this whole world in here. And I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. You know, he built the whole museum.
Yeah,
And he said, I have a bunch of these drawings on my computer of designs that I've made. And now in the virtual world, I can create like my own little museum in
That's
pieces,
insane.
right?
How
It blew my mind,
How
dude.
long ago was that?
That was over a year ago.
That guy was
Year and
way
a half
ahead of
ago.
his time.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure he's
he's probably making some money right now.
it's
Seriously.
crazy. If you ever have a chance to use the Oculus, there are different worlds and there are screens that you can go to, and one is called I think it's called All Space, and it's like, so you click on it, it's like an app inside the headset, right? You click on it, it's called All Space, you go in there, and then there's a bunch of different rooms, and one room might be like a bar. So you walk into this virtual bar, and there's people drinking virtual beers, right? And it's just weird because it's avatars, but it's really just people at their house, and then their friends that are on, or people that they're meeting in the virtual world from all over the world. And then they have a stage where a guy's up there, an avatar, so a cartoon basically, is up there with a guitar.
No way.
And he's sitting there like fake strumming, but like he's really got a guitar at home, and he's playing through a microphone. So he's having an open mic night at this bar that he created, this virtual bar. I was in this environment, and then above him on stage, there was a screen that said, you know, tips, you know, Venmo me or Cash App. So he's in there playing a show in his bedroom for a virtual world, and then getting tipped.
That is actually crazy.
Through the metaverse or whatever the hell it's called. I don't even know. But
no, yeah, that's what Facebook is calling it now. Like they're making a whole
metaverse.
Metaverse, yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I met so many different people on there from all walks of life, from like ambulance drivers during the pandemic to just so many different people that say that they would put that on just to decompress and get away.
That's crazy.
Just because, like, you could walk into these worlds that someone built that looks like the ocean, and, like, you know, it's all cartoon. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's still, like, beautiful how someone can create their own little vision. And you can go in these rooms and say I built a room, And then I can put a giant, like I can build a room on top of a city and have these cars that are driving below and like stars that are shooting in the sky. And it's like, wow, this is wild. It feels like I'm really in here.
That's
And then I
crazy.
can have this giant screen that's like floating in the air. And on that screen, I can play any YouTube or any kind of video from my computer that I want. So I can invite people to my virtual space that I just created, and then we can all watch maybe
That's
a
crazy.
video that I just made of my hip hop group, right?
That's actually crazy.
It's nuts, man.
That is actually crazy. And I wonder where music comes into this virtual world, really. Because, like, I feel like there's so many like, that opens up so many new possibilities.
Well,
Like you said
I'm
with the
getting my
guitar
Pro
thing,
Tools
man.
certificate right now, and the guys in my class. One day we showed up to class. There was like 18 of us in there, and this guy's got his VR headset on. He's got an Oculus on, and he's like, I can be in this class in the virtual right now, and he was like, I can use Pro Tools in my VR headset.
No way.
And I was like, that is insane. And then my instructor, who did stuff for Nelly and a bunch of like older hip hop cats,
Yeah.
he he was like, yeah, he's like that. He's like, we're there, and it's going there right now. He's like, you're gonna be able to create like, basically, I spoke up and said, this would be awesome if I could take my drum machine and be able to see it in my VR headset, but like be on the moon and like have colors change when I hit the different pads.
That'll create a whole nother vibe of creating.
Oh my gosh, man. I mean, that's what we do in our studios anyways. We have colored lights. We have all of these. I have lights that hear sound, that blink when I hit a beat. I mean, I do all of this stuff because it adds to the environment for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that reminds me. So, like, in my studio that I have a lava lamp and I have, like, a black light. But, like, literally you could, like, put yourself inside the lava lamp.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Like, it's crazy.
Just have that bubble just floating up and down, like constantly just like looking at. It's wild because in those headsets too, like you can get on YouTube or you can get on Netflix, and you can basically be in any environment and watch your Netflix or your YouTube, or you can go. There's an app called Theater where it's just like a giant movie theater that you go into, and there's other people from all over. And they're all watching the same thing, like whether it's the Bulls game or like they have sports in there. It's nuts, man.
And it's like you said, like how you just met a guy from Belgium. Like it's crazy how like it's bringing the world even closer together.
Closer to where exactly.
Like
That's the scary thing too. I mean, there's I don't know if you know who. Oh gosh, okay. You should look this guy up because I think that listen to some audio stuff or at least look up some of his books.
Okay.
But I'm trying to think of his first name, but it's Kurzweil. I think I might have said his name to you before.
Kurzweil?
Yeah, Ray Kurzweil. So Ray Kurzweil basically invented the first, I think, flatbed scanner, and then he also invented the first synthesizer that mimicked other instrument sounds.
Whoa.
So, the first synthesizer that mimicked a trumpet sound, right?
Wow.
So this dude is, dialed into this thing. Well, now he is all about AI. And he has books written on it, and he is, it's kind of scary.
Like what he's talking about, like where it could go.
Just where the future is.
Yeah.
And because, Elon Musk, I think, is against, I think he loves AI, and he loves the future, right?
Yeah.
But I think that he thinks that AI needs to be regulated. Otherwise, if it's not regulated, then we're going to be in some scary situations.
Doesn't he think like it could outsmart humans or something like that?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like every sci-fi movie that
Yeah.
we've seen that was ever built from like from the early days.
Yeah.
It's always like the robots take over or something, right? It's like
Yeah.
all of our, Terminator, right? And all of these different things. And I don't know what Ray Kurzweil thinks about the. I think he just wants to keep progressing with it and keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
But he's brilliant, and he wants AI. Um, he wants the progression of AI to just keep going, I think, because he wants it to end poverty. And he sees on the big timeline that it
wow.
is affecting poverty. Whereas, like in your third world countries now, you'll have people that have cell phones, right?
Yeah.
And can access the internet, where that was never that way before. Growing up, when we would see, the images that they would show us of third world countries on TV, because they always controlled it, the media or whatever, like it would be like Ethiopian kids that were starving, that had no food, and not saying that doesn't exist anymore, because it does, but the fact that I think as technology grows, so the poverty level maybe decreases, right?
Yeah, I wonder how that correlates.
But at the same time, there's still poverty because,
Yeah.
and also at the same time, our environment is just getting the shit end of everything. So with global warming, so until we find that, like you said earlier, with what we were talking about with lyrics, it draws this back whole thing in.
Yeah.
Until we find that balance,
Seriously.
right?
But
we need that balance always.
Everything always has to have a balance.
Yeah.
But what is scary about that, like with global warming and everything, it's kind of scary to think that I don't know if they're just I hope we're not just completely ignoring it and taking it to a digital world, because
right,
that's something I was kind of thinking about. Like instead
of they say even with crypto, they say that like when those machines are mining, I guess, I don't know, it's still beyond me, all of it, but like the mining portion is causing some of the it's still using energy, and it's still causing some of the global warming, so it's adding to that. So I don't know, until we figure out, I think that we need to listen to people like David Attenborough. I don't know if you know who he is. You should look him up, David Attenborough.
Okay.
Let me see. And Ray Kurzweil, you should look him up too. But David Attenborough. Let me see if I can spell his name. Yeah, David Attenborough. He Attenborough. You should listen to some of his speeches, or maybe like his latest speech on our global health, because he studied the planet forever, and he studied animals forever.
For sure.
He's always the voice that you hear on like Animal Planet and all of these things, right?
Okay.
He's dialed in. He knows. He sees it. With technology, we've also had the beauty of technology, obviously through cameras, right?
Yeah.
So we can see things on a faster scale through a video, right?
Yeah.
We can see the progression from a year ago or the last 10 years in high speed, and see the changing. So
I'll definitely look into him for sure.
Yeah, man, I think that's super important. I think that there's artists out there, like one of my favorite artists. I think you saw her cardboard cutout in my studio, Bjork, Bjork. It's the girl that was holding she's holding like an award that she won. She's super dialed into environment, so her music definitely deals with that, even though she's pretty abstract and obscure.
Yeah, she still makes
but
music
Bjork
too.
is a heavy hitter when it comes to that. She's always trying to do things that are bringing awareness to our global health, and
yeah, for sure. Does she still make music?
Yo,
Like
yeah,
to this
yeah,
day?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a lot of like you'll hear it if you listen to it. It's very she's from Iceland. So a lot of the music is, I guess, in Iceland they consider the music in Iceland when I asked when my wife and I got married there.
Oh,
But
really?
when I asked about Icelandic music, they said it's atmospheric is what they call
Whoa,
it.
that's kind of cool.
Atmospheric music. So it's and she, when she sings, you'll hear her register of her voice. Like sometimes she'll yell and like, you know, she sings in these high notes. And it's because when she was a kid, like Iceland is like full of, like they don't have trees in Iceland, right?
Yeah.
So it's like all these hills and mountains, and it's very windy there too at times and snowy. And so she would get dropped off, you know, for school or have to go to school, and she'd have to sing over the winds. So she like create like
Wow, that's
got
crazy.
this amazing vocal range and has like such strong vocal cords that it's like
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I'm gonna listen to some of her stuff
And
for
she's
sure.
done stuff with the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan. She's done stuff with Rozelle from The Roots. She's always reaching into. She was huge. She was really big in the United States. Like in the '90s, she had some bigger hits or whatever that were like, you know, on MTV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she's like a punk rocker at heart, and she cares
Really?
about humanity.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, I know you said you like engineer for people, but do you, or at least right now, like recently you're talking about, do you still make your own music and songs?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's something that I'll always do.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and I'm working on some stuff. I have a bunch that I just haven't finished because I really kind of went from uh, like I said, in my friend's basement, being a vocalist,
Yeah.
to going to studios and paying for time and coming up with, you know, albums, to then realizing that, you know, once I had my kids, that I didn't have that time and I didn't have that money to get out and do that. So I had to learn it, you know.
Yeah.
And I had friends that went away to school for music and stuff, but I was working in the factory, so I wasn't going to school for that kind of thing. But you know, with online education and just kind of, you know, diving in and doing it hands on your own
On your own
and
time.
yeah, on your own time and having that, that's kind of like where I went. And
Yeah.
so yeah, man, that I'll always create my own music. That's more of like prayer, you know.
Yeah. So when you write or just create in general, do you find yourself, like we were talking about that bounce, do you find yourself in that like darker place with that 808 more of the time, or more of the like spiritual Bob Marley
Mm,
type, or do you kind of
I
balance
think it
it
really
within you?
kind of depends, but I think nowadays more of being, you know, older now, more of the spiritual,
Yeah.
because I know where that resonates. I know how that feels. I know what I want to leave behind.
Yes, for sure.
And that is a huge thing because I always think about how, you know, all of our days are numbered and we're not promised tomorrow.
Yes,
So,
for sure.
if, you know, if I were to pass, what did I leave that, and what is it saying? So
Yeah.
I kind of got out of the whole, um, the negative space.
Yeah.
Although there is a ridiculous rapper who's really good, man. I grew up on him like when I was younger. I grew up on him and a lot of his cruise music and stuff, and um, we just did a song together. I had a beat. I sent it to him. He put some lyrics on it, and he's such a spitter. Like he goes in like battles, right?
You
He
collab
goes to
with
these.
this. You collab with this rapper.
Yeah, yeah. He goes and he battles like King of the Dot type stuff, or like, you know,
Yeah.
where they go and do battle raps. And his name's Copyright,
Okay.
and he's amazing. And he's an amazing rapper. But when he sent me the verse that he spit, it triggered me.
Yeah.
Like it triggered my hunger for and my love for hip hop, and so I wrote probably what wasn't the most positive verse in the world, right?
Yeah. But like he
But
probably
it felt so good because I haven't been triggered like that in so long.
yeah.
Like it felt good to be able to write like quickly like that because it just kind of came out and I was like, oh man.
He kind of
I
brought
was
it out
like,
of you.
yeah, it brought it out of me, man, and it really like I was so pumped on it. Now I'm probably gonna go back and change it because I honestly don't like some of the things that I said in it.
Yeah.
But it is some of the like to me, I was like, wow, that was sick. Like,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I don't want to leave that behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it doesn't
Even if
have
I
to
am
be.
trying to like
I feel like it
say,
doesn't.
hey, I can write too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
really kind of want to do it in a different manner because really, at the end of the day, um, it's like what I was just saying, like with the, what are you
What you
leaving
want to leave
behind?
behind, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do feel like obviously we do like everybody has the darker side. So like it's not like you can completely escape it. So if you can show people that like you have the darker side too, then they can almost relate more to the positive stuff you leave behind also.
Yeah, we call that sometimes you got to mix the medicine, in
Yeah.
with the food. And
Yeah,
the
for
food
sure.
would be the good, spiritual, positive,
Oh yeah.
uplifting things that will help you. Um, yeah, well, I guess the food would be the everyday meal, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe
for
that I
sure.
guess the medicine is the positive, because you don't want to just hear like the positive stuff all the
Yeah.
time. So the
That's where
medicine is the
that's where the
positive,
balance comes in again.
and the power in the food is the everyday. So
Yeah.
like Migos or something like that, like with I keep saying their name. I don't know why. I have nothing against Migos. The Percocets popping. That's the only thing
Yeah.
that pops in my head. Like the promotion of that
Yeah.
killed me. Like I was like, dude, I've had so many friends that have gone down the wrong road for that shit.
Yeah.
And seen so many lives destroyed that when I hear it in the cadence in the song, just like I feel like that's just like the devil
It's evil.
destroying people,
It's evil.
making it popular.
Yeah.
But if you mix that medicine in there with that, because people are always gonna, people aren't always gonna. I mean, they're Will Smith they love as an actor, but like as a rapper, there is only a few people that liked Will Smith with some of his stuff. They're like, it's too positive and whatever. People would always say that kind of thing. It's too cheesy or it's like whatever.
Yeah. For sure.
So I think the dude's brilliant. They all are.
Oh yeah.
We all are, man. We're all just here.
Everyone's unique.
Yeah,
You just gotta be yourself.
absolutely. I can, it's definitely, usually the people. That's the other thing. Usually the people that are the darkest, that have some of the darker, things,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
those people have, a lot of times gone through the worst
that
things,
have seen the evil things. Yeah,
have gone through the worst things, and have been so fed up that that's what's coming out because that's what they're seeing, that's what they're getting. So until you shower them, you know,
yeah. But
and
also,
show them something different.
yeah. And if
Someone
those
said the other
people,
day, it's like if you don't see what did I see? I either saw it or someone said it. I can't remember, but it's like if you don't see the good in the world and everything's destructive and nasty or whatever, be that good in the world.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
don't go along with the regular just because that's just like who cares? I don't care. You don't care. Like
yeah,
nobody cares anymore. Then fuck it. Like fuck that mentality. Like the mentality has to be like, no, I'm just gonna be as good as I can or as nice as I
yeah.
can because obviously somebody needs that out there. We all do. We all need
Yes,
it.
it is. We do. And it's sad because the regular has become the evil. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
overcoming the good
Yeah. No, for sure.
more and more.
For sure. Like that. I mean, you probably know more about that concert that I do, but that Travis Scott or whatever concert, right?
Oh yeah,
Like what happened with that?
yeah. I just heard that there was like 8 to 10 people dead, probably like 20 injured. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what happened though? Like during the show, was it like, did he like just keep going on and like let it happen, or maybe he didn't know what was going on?
Well, I heard that he did stop it for like a little bit, but I don't think he like did too much to try to stop it. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
there. I don't really know what happened. But
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
his intentions either, but
Yeah, yeah, right,
just
right.
in general, it's a terrible situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a horrible situation. That should never be at a concert, you know, but that
No,
happens at
yeah.
all types of concerts all the time. So,
No, and that's not what music should be doing. Like music should be
no.
influencing like us for the better rather than killing people.
Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes when you're in that environment with that many people, you know, the person that's pushing way back doesn't understand like the wave effect of all of that, right?
Oh
Like I've
yeah.
been at Lollapalooza before for like a punk band that was about to play, and
Okay.
all of a sudden the crowd just like suffocated everybody, and I had to get out, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, this is horrible. Like I cannot. Like I was literally like elbows in the back of the person in front of me,
Yep.
and I was sitting there thinking like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be in this. I'm too claustrophobic for that
Yeah.
shit, man.
I was in a similar situation. I went to this concert called Summer Smash, and it was just like mosh pits. Yeah, everybody pushing you together and stuff. And it was like, I saw people passing out. They were carrying them to the front, but I kept pushing to the front, and I finally got to the front, and I got like it was like almost like a relief because I had like
Oh
some fresh
yeah.
air up there.
Oh man.
But yeah, the concerts are getting crazy.
Yeah, it sucks.
I mean,
It
they're a good
definitely
time.
sucks.
Okay. I only got a couple more questions.
Oh, you're
So
good.
where do you see the music taking you in the future? Like in like recent future, overall, just in general.
Taking me.
Taking you,
Um,
or what do you imagine? Like, what do you imagine yourself doing with music? Still
mixing
mixing.
music. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's my. I don't have a love for performing. I definitely have a love for creating.
Yeah.
That creating doesn't have to do with the crowd's reception on how that is, even though some artists have a problem with me saying that. For me, it does not have. I don't have to be up on stage to perform it to get what I feel like I need out of it.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as like a selfish thing either. As long as I still like to share music.
Yeah.
I
For
just
sure.
don't like to be on stage.
Yeah. I
So
understand that.
basically mixing, because I just still want to be part of sound. I just want to be a part of blending, and it's like painting, right?
Yeah.
It's like just being an artist. Mixing and blending sound and seeing what's best for what sounds best to you, you know. And I love that. And obviously the client, so mixing for other people and trying to have their vision come to life, and
Yeah.
hear it and hear them say, wow, like that sounds so good, how did
Yeah.
you do that, you know?
Helping them create something. Yeah.
Helping them create. And I'm all about, like, I love teaching to fish instead of giving the fish. Like, giving the fish is fun, like, you know, and it's good for business, but I also love to teach to fish because I love music and I want to hear people express themselves, you know.
Yeah. For sure.
So, but my love isn't necessarily like, I don't want to be in a class teaching a bunch of people either. Like, I don't. That's the stage again, right?
Yeah. No, you want some freedom with it.
Yeah, yeah. I like the whole studio vibe. I
Yeah.
like the low key studio vibe. I feel like when there's that silence in that studio, that silence to me is a blank canvas,
Yeah.
and you start not really knowing. Whether you're creating or whether you're mixing, you start by really not knowing where it'll take you in the end. And then in the end, it's amazing to look back and say, man, I can't believe we got there from where we started, you
It's a
know? But
beautiful
that
thing.
to me is such a beautiful thing.
It is. Music is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
My last question is, why do you make music?
Yeah, man. I honestly make music to heal
Yeah.
myself and others. And when I say myself, I mean that when I make music, it's like my prayer to God.
Yeah.
So it in turn kind of heals me because I feel like God, works through me through music and always has. And then when I hear someone that has heard something that maybe I was a part of or that I, wrote or whatever, and when I hear feedback from them that like they love this so much or, that really helped them through that hard time, that feels great because I feel like I'm doing something positive, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, that's really it for the interview.
Well, cool, man.
That was
Cool.
good.
I'll get that thing signed over for you.
All right, for sure.